Welcome to the demon realm where even the scenery is lying to you. And here comes our first contender, stomping in like it owns the place. Our little snakebird spots its prey, ready for an easy meal. It locks onto the target, a tiny, seemingly helpless sprout. Plot twist. The sprout isn't helpless. It's a giant mandragora with a serious attitude problem. Our hero freezes, suddenly realizing it might have bitten off way more than it can chew. In one corner, a tiny snakebird, in the other, a furious root vegetable. The battle is on. But our guy doesn't back down, launching a full-on desperate attack. Hold up, this epic battle is actually the cutest little slap fight you've ever seen. And it turns out this whole dramatic showdown is just daily entertainment for their parents. The Mandragora squad pulls up with a signature move, the Superman punch. But our guy's got moves. He dodges like a pro, leaving the Mandragora hitting air. Spoke too soon, a surprise attack from the side sends him flying. The dust settles and the two rivals stare each other down. What happens next? And just like that, the tough guy act crumbles. Our hero is officially heartbroken. Defeated and humiliated, he makes a tearful retreat, leaving the victors behind. The Mandragora celebrates its 99th consecutive victory. This wasn't a fight, it was a dynasty. But hold on, who's this guy? And what does he know about this big match? Turns out the tiny terror has a dad, and he's been watching the whole time. And after a hard day of battle, the little champion gets some tender, loving care from its owner. Even a champion needs a post-fight spa day, but this calm won't last long. Because on the other side of the field, the defeated hero's owner is demanding a meal from her mysterious uncle. And this isn't just any uncle. This is a culinary god forging a meal in the flames of hell. Hold on, the little girl is offering up eggs. And is that our snakebird on her head? He accepts the tribute, adding it to his masterpiece with the focus of a master swordsman. This isn't just cooking, it's a full-blown performance art piece with extra fire. His audience is captivated. This guy could charge admission for his skills. The meal is served, but the chef declares the ritual isn't complete without one final, crucial step. The ultimate secret technique? A perfectly executed sprinkle of sesame seeds. And as the call for dinner goes out, we see the rivals are about to become dinner guests. The chef reveals his masterpiece, and the whole tribe is here for it. All that drama and hellfire for kimchi fried rice? But this isn't just any rice. It's a dish forged in the abyss. And just like that, the battlefield becomes a dinner table, with mortal enemies ready to break bread together. But wait, the mysterious stranger isn't just a guest, he's feeding her the first bite. One bite and her soul literally leaves her body. This isn't food, it's a religious experience. She calls him uncle, and look who's sitting right next to him, the champion Mandragora itself. Even the stoic, skull-masked warrior can't resist, and her praise turns our hell chef into a blushing mess. Now for the real test, the uncle takes a bite, and the whole table holds its breath for his verdict. The little champion is so content, it's already passed out in a food coma on its owner's arm. Everyone's happy, well-fed, and getting seconds, but in the demon realm, a peaceful meal is just the calm before the next storm. Our hell chef looks pretty pleased with himself. Maybe life in the demon realm isn't so bad after all. A perfect sunset, a happy family. Don't get used to it. Because this piece was built on a lie, and one day the sky itself cracked open. The gates to another dimension burst open, unleashing an apocalypse on the human world. Humanity's cities became a feeding ground for monsters straight out of your worst nightmares. But when the world needed heroes, a new kind of human answered the call, the hunters. These weren't just soldiers. They were superhumans, wielding powers that defied all logic. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity wasn't just surviving, it was fighting back. Years pass and civilization rises from the ashes, but the scars of the war are everywhere. Because normal life is just a fantasy when you're still fighting for survival in the dungeons below. This is the daily grind for a hunter, screaming defiance into the abyss. And sometimes the abyss stares back with way too many eyes. But for every monster they took down, the math was simple. Humanity was losing. So when nature couldn't provide enough heroes, humanity decided to build its own. They created something that wasn't quite human, and wasn't quite a monster. Meet the Chimera Hunter, a weapon designed to fight nightmares by becoming one. The recipe for these new soldiers started with some morally questionable test subjects. Then they added a dash of otherworldly power, mined straight from the heart of the gates. And for the final touch? A direct injection of the very thing they were built to destroy. The path to survival was paved with countless failures and a question nobody wanted to ask: what have we become? The result? An army of living weapons born in a tank and ready for war. They sold it to the public as a miracle, a perfect partnership between science and strength. But decades later, the official story is a lie, and the real work happens in the shadows. Down in the forgotten levels, they find their last subject for the night. Number 17, a failed experiment left to rot. The lead scientist scoffs, assuring his partner that the creature is basically brain dead, famous last words. But up close, the failure is a mess of chains, scars, and is that a tiny monster eating his arm? He says the Chimera can't see, but that eye says it sees everything, especially them. They decide to just write him off, another piece of trash to be thrown out with the morning garbage. They lock the door, leaving the broken monster to its fate, completely unaware of the mistake they just made. The final report is in, number 17 is officially declared useless, a decision the director is about to regret. The prognosis is in, he's so broken that his very survival is an anomaly. The scientists give him a month to live, but the director has a much shorter timeline in mind. His final mission? Serve as a disposable shield for the real hunters. And to make it official, they give him a one-way ticket with no return command. Suddenly, we're back in the demon realm. They didn't just discard him, they threw him into hell itself. Welcome to the neighborhood. The locals are already diving in for a meet and greet. But this failed experiment still has a few tricks, turning this guy into his own personal spider web. The welcome party turns into a full-blown carpet bombing, and he's ground zero. And just when you think it can't get any worse, the ground itself decides to get in on the action. But hold on, the monster isn't attacking him. It's lifting him up. It wasn't a lift, it was a power-up, and he's turning the entire battlefield into a blender. But the final boss just stepped up, charging a blast that could vaporize a mountain. He doesn't dodge, he doesn't block, he inhales the attack and fires it right back. And just like that, the biggest monster on the field is screaming for its mommy. Plot twist. The real hunters were watching the whole time, and they just called our failed experiment an S-class. They've been stuck here for 3 days, guarding a gate that refuses to close. It turns out our guy wasn't sent here to be a shield. He's the one-man army holding the entire line. So what's the job for these elite hunters if he's doing all the work? They're the janitors, cleaning up the few scraps that get past the main event. The gate signal finally disappears, but they're not celebrating, because something else just arrived. The gate is closed, and the first order isn't good job. It's get out now. But they're leaving their S-class savior behind on purpose. The official reason? He's a disposable asset, and his expiration date just came up. She feels guilty, but her partner's logic is ice cold. He's not a person. He's a thing. They call him a puppet, but that look in his eye says he's about to cut his own strings. And as he's torn apart, the hunters justify their retreat. He's just another monster. His mission was to protect them, and even now, abandoned and left for dead, he's still doing his job. But this failed experiment isn't going down without a fight. He's charging up a goodbye present. And he unleashes an explosion that rocks the very foundations of this hellscape. The dust settles, the mission is over, and the last thing we see is his life signal flatlining. His last thought isn't of revenge, but of a mission complete. He saved the very people who threw him away. As his body melts into the hellscape, his one desire is to return, a command he can no longer obey. But the system has other plans, stamping his file with one final cold message: return not permitted. The final score, 1,823 monsters down, 0 hunters lost, all thanks to the useless asset they left to die. But as he fades, a memory surfaces. He wasn't born a monster. He was a 9-year-old boy who was stolen. His entire life flashes before his eyes, but his broken mind can't even recognize the boy he used to be. He watches his own past like a movie, a silent observer to a life that was never his to live. It all started 79 years ago, at an orphanage, with a baby who was about to be given a name. Turns out, even before he was a monster, he had a bit of a temper, and a history of not backing down. And just like that, he was cast out, alone in the world, the perfect target for someone looking for their next experiment. He was alone, an easy target, and for the men in the shadows, he was just another stray. They don't see a child. They see a blank canvas for their monstrous art project. And so his childhood ends, strapped to a table with a needle full of someone else's future. He's not a person anymore, just Subject 17, the first entry in a long, dark ledger. The procedure begins. An injection of S-class monster DNA, a one-way ticket to becoming a nightmare. They brand him with his new identity, a permanent reminder that he belongs to them now. But the experiment fails. He gets the power but keeps his mind, a result they never planned for. Their response? If he won't break, they'll just keep adding more monster parts until he does. For years, they twisted his body and soul, trying to find the breaking point of a boy who refused to die. Now cut to 64 years ago, where in a cold, dark room, a completely different story of suffering is about to begin. This isn't our hero, or is it? Meet a young hunter who's already clearing out the trash. And with one clean shot, he turns a charging monster into a distant memory. He doesn't even flinch, just pure cold efficiency in the face of chaos. He gets the tearful thank you from the civilians he just saved. But his face is a blank slate. He's not a hero, he's a tool doing its job. Flash forward 5 years and suddenly the perfect soldier can't remember a thing. He's standing in the wreckage of a battle he just won, but his mind is a total blank. And guess who shows up to jog his memory? The scientist calls him number 17. Our boy has been living a double life. The memory loss isn't a bug, it's a feature. The side effects they've been waiting for have finally kicked in. Turns out after 15 years and 500 monster cocktails, the boy's mind was designed to shatter. The failure was actually their masterpiece, a weapon so powerful they couldn't even measure it. We jump back 20 years, where the ultimate weapon is being trained like a dog with a piece of meat. And his trainer is the same hunter who would later call him a disposable asset. They paraded him around like a circus act, a monster on a leash to make civilians feel safe and disgusted. Now we're back to 3 days ago, the moment his world and his body began to shatter. Even as he fades into nothing, his last thought is of a mission completed for the people who betrayed him. He leaves behind a scar on the world itself, a final monument to his sacrifice. But just as his light goes out, another one appears, falling from the sky like a single defiant star. This isn't a star, it's a memory, the blueprint of a monster built from 527 different nightmares. This is the birth of Chimera Hunter number 17, the weapon they built and then threw away. And from the ashes of his own sacrifice, something impossible happens. He's not dead. He's standing on his own 2 feet for the first time in decades. The monster is gone, and the boy they threw away is back, asking the one question that changes everything. This isn't just survival. It's a full-blown resurrection, and he's standing in the middle of his own miracle. He's got his old face back, but after a lifetime of being a weapon, he barely recognizes the man in the mirror. But the monster is still in there, and he realizes the lab isn't coming for him. They really did leave him for dead. The brand is gone, the number is gone. For the first time in his life, he's not property, he's free. So how did he pull it off? Turns out one of the 527 monsters they injected him with had a little secret: immortality. The fine print on his new powers: he gets 3 do-overs as long as his core stays intact. The scientists said it was impossible, but he's living proof they were wrong, and now their greatest failure is back at full power, with a score to settle. Not only is he back, but the mental fog and control spells the lab installed are gone. He's finally got a clear head. His life as a weapon is over, and now he's asking the one question he never dared to. Can he finally be human? He's trying to remember his real name, and a memory surfaces of a scientist telling him to help people because of his rough nature. The name he was given, Cheon Dowoon, literally means to help 1,000 people. And his reaction to this noble destiny? He calls it bullshit, a cruel joke for an orphan they turned into a monster. So with a new lease on life and a long list of enemies, the first thing on his mind is simple: revenge. But there's one tiny problem with his revenge tour. All his targets are in another dimension. And after decades of suffering, the fire for revenge has cooled. Besides, he's got no way back to the human world anyway. So he decides to put a pin in it. He'll cross that bridge of vengeance when he comes to it. For the first time, he's free to choose his own path, but it looks like he's not as alone as he thinks. Step 1 of his new life: figure out how to be human and maybe find some pants. But the first problem of his new freedom is you can't start over without an outfit. After decades as a monster, even the memory of wearing clothes is a distant, forgotten dream. In a hellscape with no department stores, you have to get creative with your wardrobe. His survival instincts kick in. Time to go hunting for some demon realm haute couture. And he stumbles upon a fresh kill, a powerful beast taken down with barely a scratch on it. The cause of death wasn't a battle, it was poison, which means something even deadlier is lurking nearby. But our guy isn't worried about the poisoner. He's just happy he found some free leather. And just when you thought he was all human, he reminds you the monster is still there by turning his arm into a blade. He might be trying to live like a human, but his tools are straight out of a nightmare. He's trying to be human, but his first thought is a lab-taught lesson on how to perfectly skin a monster. But as he gets to work, he's hit with a wave of something he didn't expect. The poison that killed the beast is still clinging to the corpse, and it's flooding his system. But remember that immortality cheat code? The poison does absolutely nothing to him. And just like that, he's got himself a new outfit, fresh off the rack, or the carcass. There's just one problem with his new demon leather pants. They're stiff as a board. But after a lifetime of being a living weapon, he knows a thing or two about creative problem solving. His brilliant solution? Just punch the hide into submission until it's soft enough to wear. He has no idea if this is how you actually tan leather, but when you're a demigod, you make your own rules. And it works. He's just invented the punch it till it's soft method of demon realm tailoring. He's not just a weapon, he's a tailor, and this monster hide is his new fabric. His tailoring technique is just rip it until it fits, and look who's back to judge his handiwork. Forget tanning leather. He's tenderizing his new clothes with his bare fists. And just like that, he's rocking the latest in post-apocalyptic demon chic. He's gone from a lab experiment to a fashion icon, and he's never felt better. His new clothes look great, but they come with one tiny poisonous problem. He shrugs off the poison, only to realize the original owner of his outfit isn't quite as dead as he thought. The little guy is back from the dead and seems to be reacting to his every word. This is getting weird. And then it hits him. He's not the only immortal on this block. The old him would have ended it, but for the first time he chooses mercy. The weapon is learning how to be a man. He offers the little guy a truce, a fresh start for two immortals who cheated death. He leaves his first friend behind, ready to walk his own path for the first time in 80 years. Step 2 of being human, find a home. But in the demon realm, you don't find a home, you fight for it. And the landlord is a giant nightmare centipede with a serious eviction notice. From the monster's point of view, he's not a threat, he's an appetizer. But our guy isn't scared. He's just wondering if the lighting is good enough for a beatdown. One clean swipe and the landlord's lease is officially terminated. He doesn't even look back. This cave just failed its tenant application. But this hellscape has more than one biome, and his housewarming party is about to get crashed. Meet the new neighbor, a furious snow ape who's not happy about the new guy on the block. He's not just looking for a home, he's a real estate critic from hell, and this place just failed the inspection. Next up, a mushroom forest that smells so bad it could kill a lesser man, another property off the list. This slimy cave gets rejected for bad humidity. His standards are higher than the rent in the human world. But after rejecting half the demon realm, he finally stops, and that look on his face says he might have just found it. For the first time in his life, he sees beauty in this hellscape, a perfect view to go with his newfound freedom. He's not just admiring the view, he's diving headfirst into his potential new backyard. This isn't a casual stroll, this is a high-speed tour of his future kingdom. And the property comes with a fully stocked pantry, because even immortal weapons need to eat. Of course the fish have razor-sharp teeth, but he doesn't see danger, he sees dinner. And just like that, the ultimate weapon starts planning his retirement, complete with a log cabin and a demonic fishing pond. He's found a corner of hell that looks suspiciously like heaven. Clean air, green trees, this is the perfect place to forget you're a monster. After a lifetime of war, he's finally found a place he can call good. He's not just a weapon anymore, he's a man about to build a home. And just as he's about to break ground, the sky breaks open instead. Something comes screaming through the portal, a delivery he definitely didn't order. And from the crash landing emerges a tiny beat-up robot. It's not a demon, it's a machine. And it just realized it's a long way from home. Meanwhile, our guy is still picking out the perfect spot, completely unaware that his new neighbor just moved in. He's ready to build his house, but he's about to get a very unexpected housewarming gift. His first act of freedom isn't revenge, it's building a home, and his construction tools are a little unconventional. He doesn't need an axe. He's got threads of pure energy that can fell a forest from a mile away. And with a single thought, an entire section of the demon realm is cleared for construction. He surveys his work. Yeah, this little clearing should do just fine. Next up, sorting the lumber with a little bit of god-tier telekinesis. He's got the materials, but the ground is a mess, and this guy has standards. His solution to uneven terrain? Just punch the planet until it's flat. And just like that, he's got a perfectly leveled plot with a mountain view. Not bad for a day's work. He doesn't even know how he's doing it. His body is just moving on instincts buried for 80 years. With the land prep done, it's time to lay the foundation, one casual multi-ton log at a time. He's not just building a house, he's building a life, and for the first time, he's actually having fun. With superhuman speed, he lays the floorboards. This isn't construction, it's a blur of pure will. No nails? No problem. In the demon realm, you just use monster mucus as superglue. This isn't just glue, it's rock-solid, waterproof armor for his new home. This guy's a natural. For the finishing touch, he adds a monster repellent plant. This isn't just a house, it's a fortress. He's built a cozy little cabin out of nightmares and silk, and he's never been prouder. But even in his new home, something feels off. He's got a roof, but he's missing a soul. And a memory hits him. His only idea of a home came from a lab lecture for child soldiers. He remembers the videos. Normal people had families, pets, and a yard, and that gives him an idea. He can't have a dog, but in a world full of monsters, he's about to find a very different kind of best friend. He's got a house, now he wants a yard, but what exactly do you plant in the demon realm's cursed soil? And then it hits him. He's going to find the one monster he's already seen, the Mandragora. His search takes him to the highest, most mana-dense peak, because of course the cutest monsters live in the deadliest places. But the snow triggers a memory he's kept buried for decades, the day his life was stolen. He remembers being so cold as a child that getting kidnapped felt like a rescue, a twisted silver lining to his own tragedy. But now, thanks to his new body, the cold is just a memory, one of the few perks of being a monster. Just as the storm clears, he finds them, a patch of tiny sprouts, the future tenants of his new garden. Turns out these screaming vegetables are so fragile they can die from a bad mood. This is going to be the most high-maintenance pet ever. He decides to take the babies, figuring they'll be easier to domesticate. He's not just gardening, he's adopting. He plucks one from the ground and immediately realizes his mistake. He forgot about the scream. He pulls it out, bracing for a world-ending shriek, but all he gets is a confused little hoong. So he grabs another, and it's the same thing. This isn't a monster. It's a living, squeaky toy. He's not just adopting one, he's starting a whole collection of these adorable little root babies. Instead of fighting for their lives, they're just snuggling. He's not a kidnapper, he's a cradle. And we get a flashback. The scream is a defense mechanism, a last resort for Mandragora stressed out by the human world. So in the demon realm, they're calm. But this is more than calm, this is total trust, and he has no idea why. And then it hits him. The Mandragora DNA they injected him with is making them see him as their long-lost dad. He tucks his new family into his belt, and just like that, the ultimate weapon becomes a walking, talking plant nursery. He's already planning their future together, picturing a quiet life of tea and snacks with his new plant children. But there's a catch. If he pisses them off, their fruit turns deadly poison. His new family comes with a user agreement. His quiet life as a plant dad is interrupted. He senses hunters from the human world, and they've trespassed on his turf. And just like that, his revenge tour is back on the menu, because these hunters have something he needs, a way home. Meanwhile, the hunters are realizing they've been played, left as bait for a monster horde by their own team, and the welcoming committee is a pack of killer rabbits straight out of a nightmare. Yeah, that's not a rabbit. That's a face full of teeth and tentacles, and it's coming right for them. The hunter throws up a desperate shield, but it's like putting a screen door on a submarine. He's sweating bullets, realizing his life is about to be measured in seconds. The cracks are forming. That barrier is about to pop like a soap bubble. And in his final moments, he drops a bombshell. They weren't just hunting, they were looking for the Chimera. The shield shatters, his scream echoes across the snow, and it looks like the search party just became the main course. The hunters are officially on the menu, and the welcoming committee is a pack of killer bunnies from hell. But just as they're about to be torn apart, a figure walks out of the blizzard, and he's not on the rescue team's roster. And there he is, the failed experiment they were sent to find, looking less like a monster and more like their last hope. He's so calm, he's practically critiquing the local wildlife, while the hunters are about to have a heart attack. But then he lets the monster out for a peek, and suddenly the predators become the prey. He doesn't even throw a punch. He just takes one step, and the entire pack flees in absolute terror. The hunters are stunned. B-class monsters don't run, but they just saw them bolt from a guy in a homemade tunic. After saving their lives without breaking a sweat, he drops his real name for the first time in 80 years. The name means nothing to them, and they're more confused by his fashion sense than the fact he just stared down a monster horde. They completely misread the room, writing him off as some desperate low-level hunter who's about to get himself killed. And just when he thought he was free, they dropped the one word that ties him right back to the lab: Chimera. He breathes a sigh of relief. They're looking for a machine, not him. He's in the clear, or so he thinks. But when he asks for their ticket home, they confess the brutal truth. Their own team left them for dead. The realization hits him like a punch to the gut. They weren't a team, they were bait from the very beginning. So the only way back to the human world is in the hands of the very traitors who just fed their friends to the wolves. The hunters are on a clock. Stay in the demon realm too long, and the mana contamination will finish what the monsters started. But while they're slowly fading, our guy is immune, one of the many perks of being the lab's masterpiece. He's not listening to their sob story, he's already locked onto his real targets. And without another word, he launches himself into the sky like a human missile, leaving them in the dust. They're screaming for their savior, but he's not on a rescue mission. He's going to get his ticket home one way or another. The little robot watches its only landmark disappear, realizing it's officially stranded in hell. It's a long way from the lab, and this little guy's danger sensors are going off the charts. But look who shows up, the traitors, and they think they've found their easy-to-capture chimera. Plot twist. The easy capture just activated its combat mode. And its one and only directive is to turn these hunters into a cautionary tale. Our guy finally arrives, but it looks like he's missed the entire party. The hunters are gone, leaving behind nothing but their gear and a whole lot of questions. But the clues they left behind don't add up unless their target wasn't what it seemed. He realizes the chimera isn't just a machine, it's a shapeshifter with a DNA-level secret. And it turns out the lab's most wanted fugitive isn't a monster, it's a runaway robot they never took seriously. So the lab's ultimate weapon is a pocket-sized, shape-shifting nightmare made of liquid metal, and our guy can't help but be a little impressed. That little robot just took out 5 B-rank hunters all by itself. But while he's gone, the hunters he left behind are paying the price. The demonic energy is taking its toll. With his last breath, he's thinking of his family, leaving his partner to watch him fade away. The hunter cries out for a miracle, and suddenly one steps right into frame. And there he is, looking like a god, casually returning with all the gear the traitors left behind. The hunter who wrote him off as a nobody is now on his knees begging for salvation. But our hero hits them with the cold, hard truth. Their gatestone was stolen, and in this realm, that means it's gone forever. In a last-ditch effort, the hunter offers up everything he has, his life's worth in cash for a single ticket home. And for the first time, our hero has to decide, is 20 million won enough to play God? He doesn't need their money, but he does need a way home. So he offers them a gatestone he just happened to have. One act of kindness earns him a lifetime of gratitude, but our hero isn't done playing savior just yet. He looks at the cash, a relic from a world he barely remembers, while the hunters scramble for their lives. Turns out he's been gone so long he doesn't even know the price of a ticket home, and he just got massively overpaid. So he decides to give them some change, but this isn't cash. It's a direct infusion of pure, terrifying power. He's not just giving them a refund. He's force-feeding them a dose of his own god-tier energy. The hunter panics, realizing this is a forbidden technique that could annihilate them both from the inside out. The laws of mana are clear. This kind of power clash should be a death sentence for everyone involved. But instead of exploding, the demonic poison is completely erased. He didn't attack them, he healed them. They're alive, they're cured, and they just witnessed a miracle that defies all logic. They leave with their lives, but their minds are blown. Just who is the man who rewrites the laws of reality? With his good deed for the century done, our hero finally heads back to his quiet life. He returns to his fortress of solitude, not just a survivor, but now a man with a home and a bank account. But his new kids are looking a little worse for wear after their first road trip. Time to plant his new family in the front yard, giving them a permanent home. But his new tenants are already filing a complaint. This garden is not up to their standards. He racks his brain, trying to figure out what a bunch of screaming vegetables could possibly want. And then he remembers the one thing all monsters crave, a little taste of pure power. One mana snack later, and his grumpy kids are the happiest plants in hell. He's officially the best dad in the demon realm. But just as he's settling into his new life, he realizes his little slice of paradise is about to get a new, uninvited neighbor. His new neighbor is the runaway robot, and it's been spying on him from the bushes this whole time. He tucks away his new fortune, completely clueless that he's now a millionaire in a world he can't even get back to. Time to loot the spoils of his good deed. Let's see what a modern hunter carries these days. And it's a jackpot. Camping gear, spare clothes, and a whole stack of gate stones. His ticket home just got a lot cheaper. But then he finds it. A packet of ramen, and a memory from before the lab, before the monster, flashes back. For the first time in 80 years, he's not just surviving, he's cooking dinner, and he's actually smiling. Step 1. Add 500 milliliters of water. Problem is, when you're a demigod who flattens mountains, you don't exactly carry a measuring cup. And just as he's about to eyeball it, the local wildlife decides to introduce itself with a face full of teeth. But the fish gives him an idea. He remembers people don't just eat plain ramen, they add toppings. And just like that, dinner just got an upgrade. One punch, and fresh demonic piranha is on the menu. The instructions say add eggs, so naturally he grabs a handful of monster roe. Close enough, right? No green onions in hell? He'll just use this random, probably poisonous leaf instead. And there it is. A pot of piranha, monster eggs, and mystery greens, a 5-star meal in the making. But his cooking show has a very confused, very tiny audience of one. He's finally reading the instructions, only to realize they don't mention a single one of his demonic ingredients. So he just throws it all in the pot, because when you're a god-tier weapon, you don't follow recipes, you invent them. But his new plant children are giving him a look that says he's about to commit a culinary crime. And they were right, the smell is so bad even he can't remember if ramen is supposed to be a biohazard. But while his kids are gagging, his secret admirer is absolutely drooling over the smell of his toxic stew. The robot has decided it's not just watching anymore, it's getting a taste of that disaster one way or another. The robot pulls a move straight from the lab's playbook, shape-shifting to exploit a weakness. It's banking on the oldest trick in the book. Humans can't resist a sad-looking dog. He's been aware of his mechanical stalker the whole time, but now it's trying a new tactic, psychological warfare. He sees right through the act. Is it trying to lower his guard, or is it faking an injury to play on his sympathy? But its behavior is too naive, too simple, and he's left wondering how a lab creation this clueless even survived the trip. So he decides to call its bluff, offering a bowl of his toxic ramen to the little imposter. The robot's reaction is pure, unfiltered hunger. It doesn't care if it's poison, it just wants a bite. He stares into the abyss of his own cooking and decides there's only one way to find out if it's edible. And just like that, the ultimate weapon and a runaway robot are sharing the most cursed meal in the history of the demon realm. But as they both take a bite, the taste isn't just bad, it's something else entirely. The taste hits him, and suddenly he's 7 years old again, sharing a pot of ramen with the only family he ever knew. It wasn't just food. It was the first time he'd ever felt warmth, a memory he thought was long gone. And after 80 years of torment, he finally remembers what it tastes like to be human. But while he's lost in memory, his little stalker declares the toxic stew a 5-star meal. His plant babies, however, are filing a formal complaint. That meal was a culinary war crime. With dinner over, he tells the little freeloader to hit the road, he's got dishes to do. But then he drops the hammer, calling out the fake limp, and the robot's cover is officially blown. The little imposter drops the act, and our hero just smirks. He's not just a weapon, he's a man with a sense of humor.